Hello, and welcome back if this is your second time here, or welcome if you're a new follower, subscriber, or just coming to check me out, to AnExpatKnits. Today, I am joined by Ellie Pie, my Shih Tzu, Kira and Freya, my big Alaskan Malamutes. Now, whether or not they will actually join me, as in you'll get to see them, not sure. You'll definitely hear them, however. Ellie Pie, who was in my last video, is actually sitting next to me, and you may actually hear her snoring. It is what it is. This is my life. The change in scenery today, I am downstairs. My husband's at work, and so I had the opportunity to be down here, which does a couple things. Number one, it makes sure that I can keep an eye on the big kids. And number two, just a different part of my house. So on today's episode, we will feature talking about my recent visit to Sibylle in Reutlingen. We weren't able to actually record in the shop, but I have a still photo so you can see Sibylle and the shop. Made a contact for another shop that she and I will be visiting. And then I have my finished objects, or FOs, my many works in progress, whips, because I've had a little bit of cast-on-itis since I finished my pullover, and some acquisitions. Now, those acquisitions did happen in the last quarter. So then there's this little, like, do I count it in this quarter because they only arrived this quarter? So I don't know, but we will see all the things. Then we're going to probably talk about upcoming trips. In a couple weeks, we're going to England. And so I need to scope out yarn shops in both the Cotswolds and London. Been to England many times. I have relatives that live there. And this time we're going to visit friends of ours, a colleague of my husband who has since become a friend in the Cotswolds. And I am so excited because I don't know if I mentioned in the last video, in addition to my knitting, I also sketch and paint. As a matter of fact, right there is one of my paintings. And so it's another thing that I do for my self-care. Knitting is, as I mentioned previously, what I do to ground me, help, what's the word I'm looking for? Combat my social anxiety at times, but also it's just comfort, period. And I love the rhythm of it, the mathematics of it. I am definitely a math girl, love math. I could actually do math for fun. I used to do trig calculations because I just love trigonometry for fun. Yes, I know that's probably weird to some of you non-math folks, but I love it. And that, my friends, was another example of spaghetti. Anyway, getting back on topic. Last week, I visited Sibylle on Monday, and I love driving out to see her. I wasn't able to take photos of the road, so I'm hoping that one of these times my husband and I can take a trip to Reutlingen so he can see it, and also I can take some photos. There's this one part of it's not even a road, it's the highway, or yeah, I guess highway is the word. And it feels like I'm driving in the trees because it's so high up and I can see the treetops. And then as I peek, I can see buildings and a steeple of a church. Super cozy. I wonder what that town is. Probably we'll figure that out. Now, as I mentioned at the start of this video, Kira and Freya are down here. And although Freya and Pies are napping, Kira is playing with her toy. So I apologize in advance. Kira, come here. Out of the kitchen, ma'am. Yeah. See, when mom is busy, what do the kids do? Go get into trouble. Yes, ma'am. You need to stay in here, please. Thank you. I'll insert a photo of Kira right now. And you may even get to hear her talk. She's a Malamute and has an opinion about everything. On the 13th, she turns 3, and I'm hoping that she chills out a little bit, but you know, she may not. Anyway, back to Reutlingen. Sabila and I got to spend it was longer than that actually. I got there at like 9:30 in the morning and didn't have to leave till 3:30. We walked to a yarn shop and we walked around a little bit in downtown Reutlingen, and she had made me the most amazing soup. And I'm Sri Lankan and I love curry. I actually miss my mom's curry, and I make it. Admittedly, I haven't made it while living in Germany, but I probably should. There's a restaurant nearby that makes amazing Thai food, and my favorite Thai dish, yeah, it's a dish, it's not soup, is green curry. So the soup that Sabila made for me had flavors of lime and ginger and coconut milk. It was amazing. I had 3 bowls. 3. Not 1, not 2, but 3. I actually finished the soup, okay? Greedy little me. Now, granted, if you ask Sabila, she will tell you that she was thrilled that I finished it. If I could have licked my bowl, I would have done it. And she has sent me the recipe. It came from Instagram. So I will happily, I'm pointing downwards because show notes, haven't figured that out yet. But tagging, I did figure out in the previous video. So I will either insert a photo or tag a link or something, but the recipe will be shared. So we just had the best time. We're like girls just sitting and chatting about our knitting and our ideas, and I get her opinion on stuff. She's an amazing knitter. And in the photo that I'll insert, you'll see a sweater that she had knit. Bless you, Kira. Did y'all hear that? Anyway, so it was a blast seeing her. One of the things I have to show, when Sabila visited me for the first time, she brought me this gift. Put down the angry water. Don't fall. And it was this. It's my Notions bag. And we made a trade. So in trade for teaching her how to make toe-up socks, she made me this bag. And, you know, what's in here? Acquisitions. So instead of starting with whips or FOs, I guess we'll start with acquisitions. Now, I made a purchase from Woolens and Nosh. I don't know about you guys, but my husband and I are very much into The Mandalorian. So, knowing that, let's see. This one, it's the Superwash Targi fingering. The colorway is Mandalore. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I just love all of that color. And it says it's fingering. However, look at how thick that is. I don't know that I'm going to knit this on my typical 2.5 millimeter. or I'm sorry, take that back, US size 2.5. But I will swatch and we'll see. The next color that I purchased in the self-striping is This Is the Way. Isn't that beautiful? If you go to her website, you can see how this knits up, and the stripes are amazing. Now, I desperately want to make these for myself. However, I have promised Nathaniel, my third son, a pair of house socks. Are my kids knit worthy? Absolutely. Now, Annika, when she was younger, she felted a pair of socks that I knit her. Those felted socks fit me now. But that said, I'm tempted not to knit these for Nate. What do y'all think? Should I? Should I not? I have been promising him, and I didn't get him or knit him anything for his birthday, which was February. So maybe, now I'm feeling a little guilt, I should just go ahead and knit these for him. And then the final color, solid color that I got was the Creed. Those of you that know me and are getting to know me will find out green is my favorite color in all of its iterations. That's my engagement ring that my husband made, had custom made for me, and it's green. So anyway, green is my favorite color. This reminds me of one of my deep light handmade paint colors. And it also reminds me of the Pacific Northwest. Lots of Pacific Northwest vibes. Now, I could do socks for Nate in this with, I think he'll prefer the green in the toe and heel, and still have leftover and maybe do kind of a scrappy hat for myself. Love hats. So maybe. Then we have the final Woolens and Nosh purchase, which is called Oh Hello You, which is something I do tend to say sometimes. And isn't this just fun? This is definitely going to be for me. So if this is going to be for me, then let's just say that these will be for Nate. Okay, so probably we'll cast on today. Last of the acquisitions, which I haven't even opened yet, is from Murky Depths. Now, Murky Depths has a kit out there for the, I think it's called the Arcania sweater. It is amazing. And it looks very like cathedral vibes in the color work. Like, just beautiful. I will link a photo of the pattern. That's how I found Murky Depths. Also, there's a couple other knitters on my Instagram feed. I think it was Choo Choo Choo. I could be wrong about her. I'm fairly confident about the name, but she knit a sweater using some of these colors. So I went ahead and picked some up. This color is called Tweed Blazer. Look at that. It has green in there. It has some teal, some charcoaly brown, and a tiny, tiny, tiny highlight there of a very pale green. Now, not technically, but I was intending to purchase this in a DK because I would like to knit with more DK lately. However, I ended up purchasing this in sock. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that color variation. I mean, look at that. Just gorgeous. So I have 4 Tweed Blazer in the deep sock. Okay. These colors coming up next, I have in the Neptune DK. first one is Mysore silk. Look at that. Very similar. Well, not similar, but I would say there, you guys can get a better, this is more tonal, I would say, and has golden, like a golden ochre in there, like a lemon in there. So this is Neptune DK, and the color is Mysore silk. The next color is called Grosbeak, also in Neptune DK, and goes, I think, is just a lighter version of the tweed blazer. Do y'all see that? And last but not least is Neptune DK in Electric Lady Land. Say that 3 times fast. Look at that blue. So I was going to put, this is the tweed blazer. I was going to put these 3 together, right? I have like, I have some Malabrigo Rios in my stash. It's worsted. However, I have found that the Rios tends to be quite flexible. So I could, you know, tighten it a bit. We'll see. But I want to do something in these 3 colors, you know, gorgeous big yoke kind of thing. Haven't decided on what yet, but I have tons of things in my Ravelry library. So, but I'm happy for ideas. So please, in the comments below, let me know some things that you think, and some ideas for patterns, and let me know if you've knit with these yarns before. Okay, so that is, yeah, that's all of my acquisitions. I am happy to announce that today is the 6th of April, and I haven't purchased any yarn in 3 days. I did purchase yarn when I was in Reutlingen. However, I forgot to bring it downstairs, and since my studio is 2 flights above me, I will save that for the next video. So those are the acquisitions. So obviously most of the acquisitions for this month. And like I said earlier, technically these acquisitions were made last quarter, but they will go into my stash library. I like to call it a library in Ravelry. So there's that. Now, before we go to the FOs, I have a mystery, and I really need some help. This is Isager yarn that Sabile and I picked up 2 months ago when we visited a lady that has a shop out of her home. And this gorgeous green is the sock yarn by Isager, okay? And I was very excited. It's smushy. I was thinking I would knit the Sunshine Hat by Isager, right? And so apparently I have done a provisional cast on. I counted stitches earlier, put this down, and in unlike me fashion, I didn't update this in my Ravelry. Now, every time I start something, I'm usually really good about within moments, or as I'm even planning sometimes projects, it goes into my Ravelry because my brain, squirrel, spaghetti, you name it, I forget. Unfortunately, I didn't do that this time. So I have 140 stitches cast on. I did a provisional cast on, and it's all stockinette. It's all knit stitches. I haven't, so I don't know. I don't know what this could be. Let's see, what size needles are we on? These are my Chiagu US 3s, so they're 3.25 millimeter. What could I have possibly have cast on? 140 stitches. I know that I'm following some pattern. Provisional cast on. What do you guys think? Do you have any ideas? Now, a provisional cast on is a bit of a pain, and I don't really want to rip it out because I'd like to figure out what I was doing. I do have another ball of this in a beautiful blue. So the question is, was I thinking of making a Friday shrug or the fingering weight of AnExpatKnits Saturday shrug? But was that 140 stitches? I don't know. And I can't think of anything else that I might have done. So put on your thinking caps and let me know in the comments if you can think of whatever it was that I may have cast on and forgot. I scoured my Ravelry page, nothing there. Looked in my Instagram feed, nothing. My photos, nothing. So I have no idea what on earth I was doing. I am, however, if I can't figure it out, I will rip it out and then just start a hat. So this is a mystery, not knit along, but definitely a mystery cast on. I don't know if that's a thing, but it is right now because I have no idea what this is. Lesson to myself, always update Ravelry or even my notes on my phone. Okay, note to Dilshani. What else do I have in my bag? I am also casting on a landscape shawl by none other than Dawn Barker of Barker Wool. This yarn, boy, if I got a little bit of a mess, I have had in my stash, so it does fall under the busting my balls for the second quarter. I've had it in my stash for a minute, and it's funny. I ordered yarn. I order yarn from Dawn on a regular, somewhat frequent basis. And this is, look at that. This is a half rib, not a half rib, a half garter, I think. Anyway, fantastic pattern. Go get it. It is just engaging enough that I'm not bored. However, it is memorizable. Memorizable. Is that a word? Probably not. I just made it up. Memorizable. It's a memorizable pattern. If it is a word, somebody tell me. Anywho, so you cast on according to the pattern. I'm not going to give you guys details because it's a pattern that is up for sale. And the colors, this is Stardust, okay? I wanted something, because I travel a lot and I have temperature fluctuations. Allergy season. I wanted something that was neutral, that could go with any of my outfits. Now, when I travel, I wear a uniform. Black leggings, white sneakers or trainers, and a Lululemon tank top, cardigan. And then I typically have some type of wrap on top. So I really wanted something that I had knit that brings me comfort. And so this was what came to mind. With Dawn's yarn, it's smushy and I love it. And even though I have small collection, very small, under 20 hanks of unknit. So that's small. Anyway, I tend to get it and fondle it and then just hold on to it and look at it. Like I'm waiting for the perfect pattern. Now, this does happen with other yarns. There's something about her yarn, possibly because we're really good friends, and she is, aside from being a knitter, aside from being a designer, aside from having her own business, we're friends. And she and I text, and I'm able to call her and just chat. So her as a person, very comforting. If you ever get the opportunity to meet her, she just has that vibe. No, this is not sponsored by her. No, she didn't ask me to, you know, feature her on my channel. This is just me. So I have saved this yarn for a minute. And this color is Boro. And it is just, look at that, okay? Do you see not just the warm charcoal, but also like this gray blue in there? So I think this was a fantastic alternative to black. She even says that on her website. So Stardust and Boro on the landscape. I am knitting it true to pattern, did not swatch. Noise, I have the windows open because it's gorgeous outside. 4mm needles. The needles, I'm gonna talk about a little bit, are from Knit Pro. And I'm convinced that these are either a knockoff of Knit Picks maybe, but these are Knit Pro Symphony needles. You can get them on Amazon. They're prevalent in Germany, and I do like the fact that they are interchangeable with Prym, P-R-Y-M needles. The joins are actually not bad. This is beautiful. And I wanted to have a backup to my Chai Goose because I have, at the moment, castonitis. So as a result of that, I also wanted to just check out the brand and see. I don't know why I'm starting this because I still have to stop and show you guys other stuff. Not starting this. But like I said, this is the landscape shawl. It's on my Ravelry. It's by Barker Wool. Now, Sabile and I had considered doing the Robinia. So is this technically a whip if I haven't started it, but I'm ready to start? So it's a pre-whip, not a whip, because I haven't started it. It's a pre-whip, a pre-work in progress. I'm using the yarn that was mentioned in the pattern, except not mohair. I am really allergic to mohair, so I always have to use an alpaca substitute. And I used a couple different colors. So for my Robinia, it isn't going to be just this color and this. I have picked out a red and a magenta. And when I finally cast this on, I'll feature it here. All right. I know that last week I had mentioned that I always have a pair of socks on the needles, and I do. This is my third work in progress, and it is basic, my own pattern. Freya, what's wrong? If you want to join the podcast, you can come over here, ma'am. Freya, who you just heard, or may not have heard. Oh my, problem. My needle has slipped out. This is one of the reasons why I don't particularly love Magic Loop, because when I use two circulars, I don't typically have this problem, but I can talk while I pick up stitches. Anywho, this is a basic 2 at a time toe up sock. My favorite way of knitting socks. And the yarn is by Shirley Bryan in Canada. And I can't remember the name of this yarn. However, I have seen her socks online. This is what it's going to end up with. And so I bought it, and it's been sitting there staring at me. And I finally cast it on. Now, speaking of things that have been staring at me, I've had a moment recently, actually it's been more than one, where I felt pressure because I have a lot of yarn. I'm just going to rip this out and start over at the heel. Settle down. Not going to rip it out to the beginning. Anyway, and I'm doing a Fish Lips Kiss heel. It's my favorite. I have it memorized. Super easy. Getting back to the pressure. So at the start of the year, I had decided that I was going to do a sweater a month. Because, as I mentioned previously, I don't have a whole lot of pullovers or sweaters that I have knit myself. And now that I have the ability to purchase yarn in larger quantities, I wanted to increase my slow fashion. However, I've been looking around at my stash, and I have like Nutedan in there in sweater quantities, and I have Barker wool in sweater quantities, and so forth. And I have this like pressure of, I have to hurry up and knit this. I have to get this done because I've got to knit this other stuff. And it really plagued me for days. I journaled about it, and this was not a good feeling because I had this yarn just quote unquote staring at me, almost with that sound. But after I journaled about it and thought about it, I realized that yes, I have a stash of yarn. Is it possible for me to knit all of it? Probably not. However, is that bad? I don't know. It's not bad to me. I recognized that there's a lot of things in my life that place pressure on me, both intentionally, as in pressure that I place on myself from a productivity standpoint in regards to work and relationships, and maintaining relationships because I no longer am local to the friends, the friends that I've had in the States, etc., and the list goes on. And knitting for me started out as a hobby, and it has become a more prevalent hobby in my life. However, it is still a hobby, and I don't want to get to a place of over analyzing my stash. I just don't. And am I trying to be more responsible about my purchasing? Absolutely. Absolutely. I joke about the busting my balls. However, I do want to be more responsible and intentional about what I'm purchasing and who I'm purchasing from. That said, I am not gonna do this thing to myself where I engage in negative self-talk and, oh, hurry up. No, I'm not gonna hurry up. I'm going to knit at the speed that I knit and knit the things that I want. And I may cast on 15 things, and I may not finish all of them. at the end of the day, this is a hobby, and it is something that brings joy and comfort to me. And I want to keep that perspective intact. Anyway, that was a little bit of spaghetti and squirrel spaghetti. Just stuff that's been going on in my head. So I don't know, do you guys feel that way? Have you had any, do you ever feel pressure to hurry up and knit because you've got things you have to finish? Not because it's a test knit, not because it's a gift, but just because you feel pressure because the yarn is in your stash? Maybe it's just me. I do feel pressure during the holidays. However, I have revamped that so that I start way earlier if I'm going to knit something for Hanukkah. And I have got away from that because, again, pressure. Life is full of pressure and deadlines and timelines. And if I can avoid that, or at least reduce the noise for myself, I have to do that. It's super important to me. So that said, picked up the stitches, and before I start knitting on it, I think I'm going to show you guys my finished sweater, the two things I finished this past week. First, I'm going to start with the sweater. I finished it. Now, not super excited about it. It has not been blocked yet. The pattern itself is fabulous. It's Baby Cocktails Whisky Neat. No issues at all with the pattern. I have knit Baby Cocktails patterns before, loved them, have quite a few in my pattern library. The problem for me was the yarn. Now, the yarn is by Lana Grossa, and it was yarn that I purchased when I first got to Germany. I am not in love with it. It is not spun very well, in my opinion. However, yesterday was Wednesday, and I was at Stitch Group at Heidi's. I didn't record because I want to honor people's right to privacy. So I want to talk to the ladies before I just set off and record them. But hopefully, Heidi has given me permission to film in the shop, but not everybody that attends Wednesday knitting knows me or might not be comfortable being on my YouTube channel. So more on that later. So I gave a friend of mine the leftovers. I had 5 balls, 4 intact and 1 that I had used a tiny bit. And I gave it to her. And something that I would encourage people, if you're going to live abroad or travel abroad, is have consideration for the way people say things and take into consideration their culture. So the statement that was made to me, the person that I gave the yarn to, she knit it, and she has a tighter, what's the word I'm looking for? A tighter gauge than I do. Same needles, but she's a much tighter knitter than I am. So she knit a swatch, and she sat down next to me at knitting, and she goes, "See, Dilshani, my knitting is better than yours." Now, is English her first language? No. And was she trying to throw shade? Absolutely not. That's not her. That just isn't her personality or temperament. I think what she was trying to tell me is that she was happier because she looked at my sweater, and she also was like, I don't like, I can see why you're not happy with it. Now, the drape is pretty good, and it is comfortable, but for whatever reason, now granted, it hasn't been blocked, so maybe after I block it, I might be happier with it. Also, after it's blocked, it might grow, and it's already a bit bigger than I wanted. If I was going to have it in my wardrobe for wearing out everywhere. However, I have decided that this pullover is going to be for when I walk the dogs. It's going to be the kind of thing that gets thrown in the car for long distance, you know, if I get cold, because my husband likes cold. Or if I'm out in the yard and doing gardening, i.e. if this gets muddy, if the girls snag it, I'm not going to be heartbroken. However, when she showed me her swatch, she was, it was much tighter and there was great stitch definition. However, for me personally, it was a stiff fabric. So I did not like, for me, her gauge. So when she said that, I didn't take offense or anything, because she didn't mean it like, oh, my knitting is better than yours, or I did a better job. She was simply saying that she preferred her fabric to what I had knit. And she was also suggesting throughout the conversation that maybe had I knit this tighter, I might have liked it more. Based on her swatch, probably not. So this is Whisky Neat. I changed a couple things, and what I did was, when I tried it on for the first time, now this pattern, actually I'll just put it on. You stop the ribbing wherever you want. So on the pattern, if you see, the ribbing doesn't go up all the way to the collar. However, because this, because I knit this loose, when I tried it on without the ribbing, I had brought the ribbing up to about there, it just grew and it was massive. So what I did was, because I certainly was not going to rip it out, I wasn't going to start over, and I wasn't going to change needle sizes here. I did some double decreases on both sides of the arm, okay? Stayed in pattern the way that Thea Coleman had written it, except I just did more drastic decreases up here. Then I brought the ribbing all the way up. And when I got up here, as per the pattern, there's different sized ribbing. I just made it all. I decreased and brought it down to individual, and then I dropped 2 needle sizes for the collar. So this is like big, and as you can tell, it's airy, right? Which serves a purpose for me, because again, I'm in menopause, so I get hot, I get cold, I get hot, I get cold. Right now, I could wear this. The weather is gorgeous outside, however, super cold for me. And it's warming up, thankfully. So maybe I'll just wear this and take the girls out for a walk. We'll see. Point being, the pattern is fine, but wasn't in love with the yarn, not in love with the outcome. It's quite big, like, okay, it goes well past my hips, and that's not a favorite silhouette for me. I feel like it ends up looking like, I don't know if y'all are old enough to remember, but the big chunky sweaters with the leggings and sometimes leg warmers too. I'm dating myself, but I don't want that silhouette. I like for myself to be able to wear a shirt, like a button-down shirt underneath, and have it a little bit cropped. It just looks better for my torso. But like I said, this is going to be a easy care. It's not acrylic, so I can't put it in the dryer. It is superwash, so I will use it for outdoor and it's not going to be a precious knit. And if it gets a hole, I'll patch it. So this thing might end up with patches of different color yarn. Who knows? When my friend finishes what she made with the leftovers, I think it's going to be a baby cardigan or pullover. I'm not sure. I'll show you guys a photo. And yeah, so this was the first thing that I finished this week. The second thing that I finished, which was from Stash, is this. It is called Sliding is Fun, and it is 2 different yarns that it's just garter. It's just knitting, 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 and it was really fun. It was gonna be a baby blanket. However, it was supposed to be for my baby nephew, and my daughter fell in love with it. So again, this is pre-blocked. I'm going to block it, and then she was like, Mom, I just love it. So it's gonna be shipped to the States, and my nephew is not without a blanket because my sister is an avid, amazing blanket knitter, and she knit him a baby blanket. So this aunt is off the hook. I'll probably knit him a little jacket or something. We'll see. But isn't this gorgeous? Dawn gave me the idea of seaming it in a particular way so that I could make it into like a really generous cowl. But my daughter asked me not to seam it, to just block it and send it to her. So that's what I'm going to do. I was tempted to make this bigger by purchasing more of, this is Juniper Moon Cloud Rainbow, and the color is Twilight, which it looks like Twilight, doesn't it? And the blue is Rico yarn. And I got to talk about Rico, because it is a cost-effective yarn alternative here in Germany. I don't know if you can get it other places, but the yarn is incredible. And I had 2 balls of it. This took a ball and a smidge. So I have quite a bit left over of this. I don't know what I'll do with it. Maybe bake a baby hat, who knows? But anyway, it is cost-effective. There's not acrylic in it. It is superwash, I believe, and amazing. The loft, the fabric it creates, the color. There's a very slight gradient to this, to the blue, and I'm not sure that you can see it, but maybe, no, I don't think you can. Anywho, I also used their alpaca and silk, and it ended up being, I want to say, $7.99 for a ball, and I used that in my ranunculus. So this is one of my 5 sweaters that I talked about last episode, and this feels so good, and it wasn't expensive. So as I was talking to Annika yesterday, my daughter, I said to her, you know, I've had expensive yarn that felt awful, and I've had not expensive yarn or cost-effective yarn, cheap yarn, whatever you want to call it, that felt amazing. So it really, for me, isn't about whether or not it's a name brand. It's very much about how it feels to me. When it comes to my knitting, I've had the opportunity to start knitting with better quality yarn. So I enjoy the process. I spend a lot of time knitting, and I think my belief is that I need to enjoy the process. And but better quality, I guess I want to say, doesn't necessarily mean higher cost. So my little blurb. But this is the ranunculus, also one of the sweaters, one of the 5. Then I'm not going to try on the others because they're heavy. heavy as in thick, and I'm very comfortable right now. This is the Nutiden Frost Flowers. This was the first pattern that I finished in January. Then y'all saw my Yano last week. And then this was Cardigan number 2 by My Favorite Things. This was the fastest I have ever knit anything. And it was knit on size 11, US 11 needles in 5 days, start to finish. Love it. Very light, however, super, super warm. And I'm loving German weather right now. The sun is shining, however, it's cold. So I can continue wearing my knits. Not loving German weather, I hope you hear me. Not loving the bitter, bitter wind that's sharp and feels like I'm getting slapped. But fortunately, that's not happening all the time. Today's weather is absolutely perfect, and I think the girls will love going out and running around in the field. I may take y'all with me. It depends on how rambunctious Kira and Freya are being. But that's all I have for today. The Brew, Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you guys are ever there, go check it out. Love their coffee. Love their coffee mugs. And what am I drinking? Angry water. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode and knitting along with me. Well, I actually didn't knit today. I chatted and ripped out stuff. But I hope you enjoy some of the photos that I share today in today's episode about my adventures in Reutlingen. My hope is this weekend to travel to Heidelberg, and the husband will be driving so I can knit. It's about 2 hours from here. And that way he can film for me while I go and visit a couple yarn shops. There are 2 that I know for sure that I visited. One where I bought this yarn from, and one in downtown Heidelberg. Now, tomorrow is Good Friday, and it is a holiday weekend, meaning that most shops are closed in Baden-Württemberg. I don't know if that means that they're closed Germany-wide on Friday, Sunday, and Monday. But I will check that out. And if they're open on Saturday, then we're going to do a road trip, take the girls with us, and I will film. I'm still new to the editing thing and the tagging thing and all that. So I appreciate you guys' patience with me as I do this. I will say I'm enjoying it. The learning curve is not as bad as I thought it would be. And everybody that has sent me comments, thank you. I love that. It's helping me feel connected despite living in a foreign country. There are moments that I feel a little isolated, not because I don't have friends in Germany and not because I'm not having a great time. It's just, that's the nature of travel and living abroad and being an expat, at least for me. I can only speak to my experiences. So this YouTube channel has been a really fun outlet for me to talk and knit and share and make new friends. I'm making new friends through this community, and I'm loving it. So thank you again for being here. Thank you for coming along my knitting adventures. And I hope to see you soon. Actually, I'll see you in a week. Bye.